On this episode of Internet Business Mastery, we talk about how to get search engine exposure fast with a new site. And in our quick tip, we talk about one of our favorite lifestyle and productivity upgrades that anyone can benefit from right away.
Welcome to InternetBusinessMastery.com, where you will learn to take control, make more money, and start an internet business today. Here are your hosts, Sterling and Jay.
Hey everyone, I'm Sterling.
And I'm Jay.
And as always, we are on a mission to help you get started with your own internet business. You can go now to freevideogift.com and check out our video that helps teach you the right way to start your very own online business. So Jay, what's the latest news with the upcoming IBM baby? Or I guess it's your baby, but, you know, come on.
Is that the nickname? Little IBM baby?
Yep.
Oh, things are going along well. We just started the third trimester. It's just kind of crazy that things are moving along so quickly. I mean, I think we've mentioned that Melanie and I have moved into a new place. It's nice to be able to kind of upgrade to a bigger place. Obviously, we'll need more space with the baby, and now I've got a new office that's far enough away from the room where, like the baby will sleep and stuff, because obviously we record and things like that. And it's just really nice as we, go through this whole process of getting ready. And anybody obviously that's had a child knows it's a lot of work to get ready. And then obviously once you have the child show up, it's a lot of work to raise a kid. And I'm just like, man, I am so happy and grateful that my time is my own. Like, I can't even imagine. I mean, obviously people do it every day, but I'm like, man, if I was working a 9-to-5 job and getting ready for a baby, definitely my stress level would be higher.
Yeah.
So it's just really nice. And then, as we're planning the first quarter of next year, to know that it's like, yeah, you know what? In February, I pretty much want to just do the minimum possible, because I want to spend that time bonding with my new child and being there for my wife as she recovers, and just kind of easing into being a parent. So it's nice to be in that kind of a situation with, having an internet business and the flexibility and finances that provides. But it's been an adventure and a journey, and it continues, and we're getting more and more excited as February 2nd, the due date, as that arrives.
Yeah, it was a whole different world for me when we had our babies, because
right.
I was working at least 10-hour days.
Oh my gosh.
Including drive time in Los Angeles. So sometimes it would even be 12-hour days. So man, those first few years, I would see him at night and on the weekends, and it was definitely a bummer compared to what you'll be able to go through now. Again, I wish I had, I'm in a different level with my kids now. Now, I've got a daughter that's old enough to have a boyfriend, which is a completely different level of hell. But at least I get to, be there to take her places and, pick her up and, go pick her up from her boyfriend's house. But, it's cool to, again, like you said, that internet lifestyle includes being able to be there for your baby when it's born. So that's awesome.
Yeah, we're definitely really excited.
And now, the features segment.
All right, so we've got a listener question that was sent in. It's a really good question. I'm sure one that a lot of people benefit from hearing the answer to. So we thought we would just bring it on the show here and answer it for all of our listeners. So to start out, let's go ahead and listen to the voicemail that was sent in recently.
Hey guys, this is Melanie Richards. I love your show. Thanks for everything you do. It's really inspiring. I have a question regarding domain names. Given that SEO, search engine keywords and such, is such an important part of what we do, I find it's very hard to find information on what a domain can do for your rankings, in terms of if I should buy domains that have long tail keywords or just the specific keywords, and then maybe forward those to the main domain that I use. So let's say it's macrame related, as an example. If I bought other domains with macrame and other keywords related that are more specific, and then forward those domains to, let's say, dynamitemacrame.com, which doesn't really have other keywords in the domain. And that's where I wonder if I buy domains that have more of a brand name to it, if it might actually hurt my rankings, and I'm better off using a domain that has more keywords in it, and how forwarding domains can improve or maybe hurt your ranking of your actual real domain and the website. So if you guys could maybe elaborate on that, I think it'd be very useful to know. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Melanie, for sending in that question. I think we've got a good answer for you. So, Sterling, recently you've put up a couple sites for yourself and some niches that you've been working with. Maybe we can start out by asking you, how do you go about picking the domain name for one of these new niche sites?
Well, it's really based on whatever the top keyword is. So I want to make sure that keyword is in the domain name.
Okay.
There you go. That's the simple answer.
It's just as simple as that. And what's the reason for doing that?
Well, because, again, it's one of those things that Google looks at for relevancy. If all over my site, my main keyword is there, I'm going to get more of a higher ranking because of relevancy. I've actually even said, if it's a site about macrame's got to be in the title, and it needs to be, all over the site in the content. And it just gives you, I guess, a leg up if it's in your URL as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've talked on a past episode about kind of how search engines determine how highly to rank your site, and relevancy is a huge. So basically, if you think about, okay, well, what is Google's purpose? Well, they want to give the best results to the people who are using their search engine, because then people will keep on using their search engine, obviously. And the way you do that is by giving the most relevant the most relevant results. So if somebody searched for macrame, but all of a sudden they were getting, in there were mixed in results about martial arts, well, then there would be a disconnect. They'd be like, well, why am I seeing sites listed here in the search results that aren't even related to what I just searched? And, Google has figured out that when they serve back search results that have the exact phrases that people just searched for, that there's that connection of what people are looking for is there. And they're like, wow, okay, this is giving me exactly what I'm looking for. And so, yeah, like you just said, there's a lot of different ways to make sure that Google sees you as relevant, but absolutely one of the most powerful is if the exact keyword phrase is in the domain name itself. So let's go ahead and use that example of macrame, and with using a couple tools, and we'll go ahead and mention later what some suggestions of tools. But the cool thing is we can find out, well, what are those phrases related to macrame that people are searching for online, so that I can use that exact phrase. And like you mentioned, Sterling, the one that people are searching for the most. So often we call that search volume. We want the phrase that has the highest search volume, because then it's got the likelihood of attracting the most people to our site. So let's just, as an example, let's say that we went in and did a little research about macrame and found out that how-to macrame was one of the top searched phrases relating to macrame. And clearly, if somebody is searching for how to macrame, they want some good content about that. And you could even probably sell them eventually some courses and things about that as well. So if we were to make our domain name howtomacrame.com, or howtomacrame.net, or howtomacrame.org, something like that, then Google is very quickly going to see, okay, this site is definitely related to how to macrame. And how quickly have you seen a site, when you've used an exact phrase like that as the domain name, how quickly have you seen a site like that start showing up in the Google results?
Well, I mean, I've gotten to number 5 on my main keyword within a few weeks, but I was doing some other SEO stuff as well. But I believe that absolutely is a major thing that helps that keyword is in the URL. I mean, that's one of the tools that we're going to talk about. It shows you all the different things that they think Google is doing. So in one of the tools that we're going to talk about a little later, you're able to see some of the criteria you need to have to be able to rank in that top 10. And one of them is the domain name. And it's funny because whenever I do any sort of searches for, new sites I may want to do, most of the time, at least 5 or more of the top sites don't have that criteria. They've got some other name, and they're just doing all these other things to make up for it. So to me, it's like the things that are really easy to do to get higher ranking, of course you should do them, and making sure the keyword is in your URL is definitely one that's an easy one. That's an easy one, right? You can just look it up, find that main keyword, and make sure somehow it's in the URL.
So a few years ago when I launched, I guess it's been maybe 5 or 6 years now actually, but when I launched my first podcast tutorial site, which, built up all my traffic and my list and led to all the great podcast things that came along, my book, etc. The way I got started with that was by using an exact match in the domain name. And I did some searching and found out how to podcast was obviously a very popular keyword that people were searching for. And another very popular one was podcast tutorial. Now, it turns out that by then, howtopodcast.com and podcasttutorial.com were both taken already. People had pounced on those pretty quickly. But it was easy enough for me to kind of be creative and just stick those two together, howtopodcasttutorial.com, which might sound a little bit funny, but really what I was doing was I was getting both keyword phrases in there at the same time. So both for how to podcast as well as podcast tutorial, it was right in the domain name. And I was ranked number 1 within like 2 weeks for that search term. Now, for that search term at the time, the competition wasn't quite as high. And then also, I started doing some link building, some things after that. But before I even did link building, I actually got to number 1 simply by having that exact phrase match. So it can be incredibly powerful. And, whether it takes a few weeks or a few months or whether you need to do some other things will depend on what kind of competition is going. So that brings in the other piece of the equation. Sometimes if you go for the exact highest search volume thing, it's going to be a really tough row to hoe to get to the top. So let's take something like auto insurance. Like auto insurance reviews. I'm sure autoinsurancereviews.com is taken, and that's a search phrase I'm sure is just insanely competitive because there's lots of big companies out there. So that might not be the right phrase to go with, so because you have to balance both demand as well as supply. It's just that classic equation of supply versus demand. And so you might need to come down a few notches to go after a phrase that's not quite so competitive. So for instance, I could go for a phrase that's a little bit longer, usually by adding more words. So it's really good to go after 3 or 4 or 5 word phrases because those are less likely to be exact matched in the domain and have the same high level of competition. So instead of going for autoinsurancereviews.com, I could go for autoinsurancecompany.reviews.com. So by adding that extra word, I kind of stand out a little bit more, rise above some because everyone's going after just simply auto insurance reviews because that's got the highest, search volume. I can go after something that's got a lower search volume, but I'm likely to show up very quickly because the competition is so low. So it's kind of balancing those two as well. That is an important thing to do. So people might be wondering, well, how in the world then do I do that? Do I balance competition and the whole supply demand equation? And there's, like we said, there's some great tools out there to help you do that. So one of our favorite ones you can find by going to getyourkeywordtool.com, and that's it's an affiliate link that'll take you over to this popular tool that we've used quite a bit in our own businesses, and all of our coaching students are using it right now with great results too. And the cool thing is that this software has a free trial, so you can sign up for their email list. I think it's like for a week or so, you get to use their software for free, and they've got excellent. If you go to their support tab and you look under their video tutorials, they've got excellent tutorials that, a number of short videos show you exactly how to find the relevant keywords, how to find a high traffic keyword, how to assess the competition, how to assess, the right balance between the two and find that nice match that then you can go and get an exact domain name that fits for the site and the keywords that you're going after and get that ranking very, very quickly. So again, you can go to getyourkeywordtool.com, get that free tutorial and or get that free trial on that software and get the tutorial videos and go through that this week and do some of these things that we're talking about here. Now, one thing I want to mention, people, and I know it was one of the questions that Melanie asked is, people often say, oh, okay, well, could I then, so if I got how to macrame, well, and in fact, see if I type in and search howtomacrame.com is taken, but how to macrame tutorial is not. So then I would kind of be getting how to macrame and macrame tutorial in there. But then what if I wanted to also get the benefit of macrame patterns and macrame supplies, some of these other ones as well. So people say, well, what if I bought 10 domains and pointed all those domain names at my web address? Would I get the benefit of the keywords for all those different web addresses that I've bought and pointed at the same website? And unfortunately, the answer is no. The only one that Google sees and gives you, quote unquote, credit for is that one where your site is actually hosted, the one that it lands on when the domain name is typed in, the one that people see when they arrive at the site. And anything else any other domain names or web addresses that you point at that site are just, for incidental convenience. So for instance, what I mean by that is, howtopodcasttutorial.com was a little bit, long and cumbersome. So I also got howtocreateapodcast.com just because I thought, well, that's a little bit easier for people to remember. And so, I would put that on business cards and on, banners and flyers and different things like that, or say that out on my show. Just because I felt like it was easier for people to remember. I didn't get any keyword benefit for that. In that case, it was just simply for the ease of people remembering and typing it in. Or for instance, if there's a word that people might commonly misspell that's in your domain name, it's a good idea to go and get the alternate spelling of that word or phrase just so that you catch those people. They end up at your site as well if they happen to, mistype that one word. So that's really the only reason to go in and register other ones is to kind of, catch spelling errors or things like that. There is no extra keyword benefit that comes from getting those extra domain names in that way.
And I mean, keep in mind that if you wanted to also rank for macrame pattern, you can just do a blog post on it and have the blog post title be macrame pattern so that it's, howtomacrame.com/macrame pattern. So yeah, you can still get credit for it being partly in the URL by having it in that /. So the title of the post would be macrame pattern. And so the whole URL for that blog post would be howtomacrame.com /macrame pattern. And
right.
I definitely have sites now where, I'm trying to rank for secondary keywords, and that's how we do it. And I'm, getting in the top 5, at least in the top 10, even just doing that.
Absolutely. So yeah, it's a very powerful way for especially really niche sites to get ranked quickly, and whether for building an email list, whether for selling affiliate products, just getting some initial attention in your market, for creating a portfolio of sites that's going to make you some money. There's lots of different strategies that people use for this, but getting those exact phrase matches for 3 or 4 or even 5 word phrases, we call those long tail keywords. Because they're kind of those, they're out there on the fringes, not getting searched for as much. But when, you hit dead on exact, not only are you more likely to stand out amongst the competition because no one's focusing on those fringe words, you're also hitting dead on what we call the conversation in the mind of the searcher, in the mind of the market. And so if they search for, how to macrame, and your site shows up with that exact phrase in the URL, they're very highly likely to click through. They're very highly likely to stick around and to see your site as, wow, this is something that I should check out more because it seems to be an exact fit for what I was just looking for. So there's a number of benefits to this approach as well. So, Melanie, here's a suggestion, though. Even though it wouldn't work to go and just get 10 domain names with various keywords and all forward to the same site, one thing that people do on some occasions is they'll start a lot of little mini sites. and they're kind of like little satellite sites that then point back to a main site. And so they'll get exact phrase matches for like the top 5 phrases. Now, you just have to think about the resources of putting those together and then maybe doing link building on all of those versus if you were to focus everything on just link building on one site. So there are trade-offs there, and that just kind of comes with experience, but there is an alternate strategy that could be considered as well. One more thing I want to mention, some people might be wondering, what if, howtomacrame.com and howtomacrame tutorial and all the good keyword phrases.com and .net and .org, what if they're all taken, then what should I do? So what would you say to that person, Sterling?
Well, you can put a word before or after it.
A really cool word like mastery.
Mastery, yeah, that was a good one. Ultimate before it. You just find a word that makes sense. And again, we've talked about this before, but when we wanted to rank for internet business, and we're trying to figure out what we could add to that actually says something about how we teach too. Like, we didn't want it to be fast cash or anything where it's like that. We wanted to, basically say, you're going to master this. Like, we want to teach mastery, not just fly by night or any of that kind of stuff. So we picked a word like mastery, and that works really, really well. So I guess that's one of the things that you could consider is, simply adding a word before or after your keyword. That makes sense and helps tell what your site's about.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity not only to stand out and get a URL that's not taken, since it seems like all the good ones are taken these days, but I like your point that, it's a great way to kind of be unique and maybe create a brand around the name of the site as well, rather than just, boring how to macrame. It could be, macrame tutorial mastery, or, now we're going to have, in fact, I already do see a lot of sites that pop up with the word mastery in them because there are students, which is fine. That's great. Of course, it can be, now, fast, instant, guide, school, academy, just all kinds of.
Another one I see all the time is HQ, like headquarters.
Right. Yeah. The macrame tutorial HQ or how to macrame HQ.
Yeah, academy, university. There's all these different things like that I see people adding.
So there you go. There's some tips about getting that search engine exposure fast through the exact phrase match in the domain name. Again, the tool we recommend, if this is sounding intriguing and you want to mess around with this, is definitely go right now to getyourkeywordtool.com. Sign up for the free trial there and watch their tutorials and work your way through and try some different searches and things. And it'll teach you how to find that right balance of high search volume without getting into too much competition. And, maybe just throw up a WordPress site with a few articles in that exact phrase match and see how quickly it shows up in the search engines and what rank you can get to, and then report back and let us know. We'd love to share your success with that on our show here with some exact phrase match search engine magic, as we've described in this episode. This episode's breakthrough comes from one of our current coaching students. In fact, recently we just had him on live on one of our coaching group training calls to kind of go through some new stuff that he had just launched on his site. He's really cranking through the process and doing well. We wanted to mention what he's been up to on the show here because I think a lot of people can get a lot out of checking out his site and what he's set up. One of the key things that we teach, both in our coaching as well as in the academy, is how to get your whole email opt-in form process set up. How do you set up the email management system? How do you get that form onto your site so you can start building a list? And how do you create an incentive, some kind of cool little checklist or little mini ebook or course or something that people get when they sign up, because that'll increase your conversions quite a bit. So this student, Ryan Oakley, has a site that he's launched recently about wedding photography and how to become, if you're an amateur or, just a hobbyist and want to start making some money as a wedding photographer, how do you do that? His site you can find at weddingphotographygig.com. And there's a lot of really cool things that he set up and made a nice little checklist that people can, get and download when they sign up for the email opt-in form on his site. So we highly recommend going through that process, just kind of see what he set up. In fact, there's a couple little things he did where we're like, hey, we should probably do that too. As a cool little button that he uses on his form as well. So we just wanted to mention that on the show, say well done, Ryan, for getting all that set up. He's definitely been taking massive fast action in the coaching course and and zipping through and getting things implemented. And we're excited to see where it continues to go. But we expect your list is just going to continue to build from here. And things are looking fantastic. So again, anyone listening, you can check that out at weddingphotographygig.com.
And remember, there's a live question and answer call each month for coaching members where you can ask us anything about starting and running your internet business. Not a coaching member yet? No problem. Just visit internetbusinessmastery.com/coaching to get the latest information about our coaching program.
It's time for the Internet Business Quick Tip.
So, Sterling, I've really been enjoying something I signed up for after hearing a recommendation from you for it. So you've been using it a lot longer than me, and it's been a huge productivity and lifestyle upgrade for me, and that is Amazon Prime. So maybe let's start out with me asking, why was it that you first signed up for Amazon Prime, and how do you use it in your life?
Well, again, it was a recommendation from somebody just saying, once you take out the having to pay for shipping on Amazon, because it's funny, I would always go, oh, how much is it going to be for shipping? And it is a funny thing. You're constantly, do I really want it 2 days? Oh my gosh, it's like $8 or whatever it was. $8 more just to send me the packet, so I didn't use Amazon a whole lot. I mean, I've been using Prime now for maybe 2 or 3 years. But before that, if somebody recommended a book, I'd wait till I had 2 or 3 recommendations to pay one ship. It's so funny how we think. Like, I just don't want to pay shipping.
Human
but I also don't want to
psychology.
drive over to Barnes & Noble and just buy it or whatever. So,
Right.
so it's a funny thing. But yeah, the moment I did Prime, there's an evil side to this too. Then everything you think of, you just buy it. Because you're like, oh, I don't have to pay shipping.
Right.
So, I mean, the amount I spend probably on Amazon every month is insane. What I probably used to spend a year on Amazon. But yeah, Prime, that's just somebody cool recommended it to me. And ever since then, I even buy underarm deodorant, or, I buy so much stuff now through Amazon just because I get it in 2 days. This is part of Prime is the things are shipped to you within 2 days. You have it and you don't pay for shipping. So those are, some really cool things that you get with Amazon Prime that, again, suddenly your mind opens up, and there's food items that I buy. There's, what are they, protein bars? There's just all sorts of stuff that are actually a little bit cheaper on Amazon and without paying shipping. And I just have them directly to me in 2 days. So it's one of those total geek out things that I love having. And since I actually read books, I read the books that I buy. See, that's one of the things they know, Amazon, is that most people don't actually read the books that they buy, or they buy them as gifts. So since I actually buy them, it's incredibly useful to have Prime.
Absolutely. Yeah, it saved me a lot of time, especially having just moved into a new place. Of course, there's all kinds of just little things you're like, oh, we could use one of these, or we could use that, or we need to install a new doorbell thingy, or we need some to replace the batteries in that, or some light bulb, or whatever. And of course, you can rack up this list and try to remember next time you go to the store or have to run an errand, but basically what I've started to do is just kind of the GTD style. If the thought occurs to me, and I'm like, now with Amazon Prime, I'm like, I could just take care of that in under 2 minutes. I can go search on Amazon, see what's the highest ranked thing that qualifies for Prime shipping, and then bam, just order it in the one click buy, and just know that it's going to be at my doorstep in 2 days, rather than knowing that, oh, it might be this weekend before I remember to go to the store, and then am I going to remember to go and get everything, and then that's a 2-hour trip. Whereas rather than just a few little 2-minute things that I do on my computer, when the thought comes to me of, oh, we need such and such for our new place.
Well, and that's where it can be evil, because you get so used to just going, oh, somebody mentioned this, boop, go buy it.
Right.
You start racking up a nice little Amazon bill there, because that's constantly happening to me. I'm going, wow, I just buy so much now through there.
Yeah, I guess if you're a very impulsive buyer and don't have a whole lot of impulse control, maybe that's not for you for sure. But it has been kind of fun, and like a little bit of Christmas every day with just, I keep thinking the UPS guy got to be like, what is going on? Like every day dropping things at my doorstep, but it's kind of fun just having a package show up and you kind of forget, even though it's only been 2 days, what it was you ordered. And you're like, ooh, what's this going to be? And you're opening it up. It's like, oh yeah, it's my new microphone for my,
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, it's a lot of fun that way. So check that out. You can go to internetbusinessmastery.com/prime to get all the information about Amazon Prime and see if that's a lifestyle or productivity upgrade that might improve your life as well.
If you'd like to get dozens of resources such as this one, you can find them in the Internet Business Mastery Academy, along with video tutorials showing you exactly how we use many of them. So to get your risk-free trial membership to the Academy, go to internetbusinessmasteryacademy.com.
You've been listening to the iconoclasts of the 9 to 5 Sterling and Jay. Sterling and Jay invite you to discover one of their most popular video programs ever, the Online Business Freedom Formula. Visit freevideogift.com right now to get instant access to this life-changing video series, pulled directly from the acclaimed Internet Business Mastery Academy membership community. Go now to freevideogift.com. Take control, make more money, start an internet business today.